Recently, I got a comment on one of my videos from someone who wanted some advice around a particular type of singing. So here's what the comment says. One thing I'm trying to improve on is using my chest voice, belting, without relying only on my vocal cords while maintaining breath control. Any advice would be wonderful. Great question. So anytime there is an online question, there's a lot of unknowns because obviously I haven't heard this person sing. And we're trying to use words to describe physical sensations and sounds. So I have to use context clues to hope that I can get to the root of something that might actually be helpful. So that's my caveat with me answering any questions without hearing someone sing. That being said, I think I have a tool that might be really helpful. This tool is called holding back air. Obviously, when we sing, let's get some basics out of the way. We breathe in, and as we breathe out, our vocal cords restrict a certain amount of air, and that is what creates a voiced sound. How much air we hold back or release is a huge factor in the sound that we end up making. So we want to have control over that. I think this is what people in most cases are talking about when they use words like air management or breath control. We're talking about controlling the breath either in or out. There are only two ways that we can keep air in our bodies after we've taken a breath in. So the first way is by using our vocal cords. We close them shut so that way air cannot escape. The other way is by engaging our intercostal muscles to keep the air in our lungs longer while we only use what we need at the top. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of this. So I want you to take a really, really deep breath. And I want you to almost like stick your stomach out. And you should feel I'm holding air with my vocal cords specifically. It's a lot of pressure here because I am depending on my vocal cords and these muscles to hold back all the air that's in my body. One more time. And you can almost hear that happens when I do this. Okay, I'm talking. So now mid speaking, I want you to see what you have to change to open up your vocal cords. I haven't taken another breath. I'm still dealing with the same thing, but now I have engaged my intercostal muscles in a way where I am keeping the air in my lungs and I'm only using the air at the very, very top to make the sound that I want to make. So now when my vocal cords restrict, whether it's very little or a lot, they're only restricting a tiny bit of air at the top. Their main job is not keeping all of the air I just took in my body. It's too much pressure. Like not emotionally, but like physically, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so let me show you a couple examples of what this might sound like. What do I want to do? To do the holding back air example first, just in case I tire myself out. Here's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to make sure there's space in my vocal cords. And then I'm going to take one more sip of air, and I'm just going to think about using the air at the very, very top. You know what? Before we even sing, let's do a little speaking exercise that can help lead into singing. So big breath. My vocal cords are open. One more sip, and I want you to talk as quietly as you can for as long as you can, and you're only using the tiniest bit of air at the very, very top. You talk like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing while singing. A broken heart. I don't want to hear you lie tonight now that I've become who I really am. I don't know if those are the words, but let's pretend they are. So I'm only restricting the air I need at the top. Everything else is being held in my lungs with my intercostal muscles. Now I'm going to give you an example of holding back the air with my vocal cords. I'm going to start efficient with the intercostal muscles doing most of the work, and then halfway through, you'll hear it, but I'll also point, I'm going to switch to holding back with my vocal cords. I only want to die alive, never by the hands of a broken heart. I don't want to hear you lie tonight. I don't want to hear you lie tonight now that I've become who I really am. So it's just so much more work. I'm almost like immediately exhausted by doing that. You can hear there's like a little bit of texture, which isn't the end of the world. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm doing anything wrong. Sometimes we can be doing things efficiently that our body just isn't used to. But in this case, I'm not singing efficiently if I'm using my vocal cords to hold back this air. So I highly recommend trying to do the exercise. Notice when your vocal cords are open and you're talking. So you take the deep breath. My vocal cords are open. I'm talking. I'm using very little air. Notice what this feels like. What do the muscles in here feel like? For me, it just kind of feels like an engagement on the sides to keep my vocal cords open. And then when you sing, look for that same feeling and notice if your vocal cords are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. This will only be a solution or make a big difference for you if you individually do tend to use your vocal cords to hold back air when you sing. If you do, this will be life changing. If you don't and your problem is something else, then your solution will be something else. But I hope for some of you this turns out to be helpful. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you have questions. I would just love to hear if you try it and how it went.